Hi, good afternoon. Hi, Emily. Thanks so much for chatting this afternoon about your experience working with Circlescapes. And everyone, this is Emily Cook from the Pingry School, and she's going to talk a little bit about how we created a virtual tour for their campus. So thank you again for taking out the time this afternoon.
Of course.
Yeah, great. So first question, why did you decide to add a 360 campus tour to your website?
So I started with the Pingry School last summer, and we had an existing tour on our website that was a little bit dated and a little bit kind of hard to navigate, and especially during the time where we were in, people were not invited to campus to check out the facilities. So it was hugely important that I quickly implemented a way to kind of invite people to all three of our campuses. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second, but it was hugely important that I quickly get something in place that really gives people the experience of being on each of our campuses. We also last summer, right after I was hired, we have two campuses currently, one that's the lower school and one that's the middle and upper. And we acquired a third campus, which is a boarding school campus that's about 20 minutes away from our middle and upper school campuses. And it's a beautiful space, amazing facilities, just, in the rolling hills of New Jersey. And we couldn't invite our entire community to come to the campus at one time. So we wanted a tool that would essentially be able to give people the experience of being there without actually having to go there at that, once we announced that we had acquired it, we wanted people to be able to check it out pretty much immediately before we could invite people to come in person. So that third campus was a huge motivator also to get a 360 tour in place on each of the campuses. And it was, we had a very tight deadline because we needed something quickly. We wanted it for admission season, but then we also wanted it, as I said, kind of for a wider community to invite them to our new campus. And final in Circlescapes was able to deliver on that very tight turnaround. And I was very impressed because, it was a very comprehensive product and the turnaround time was very quick.
Great. Well, I'm going to pull that up. Let me go ahead and share my screen so everybody can kind of see. And this is what we would call a splash screen that kind of introduces you to the different campuses, and you can choose which one you want to look at. There's also a little help screen built in to kind of let you know how to navigate the tour, and then a contact button, or what we would call a call to action button if somebody wants to go back to the website and get more information. So I'll just pull up the Basking Ridge. And we designed these watercolor maps. Can you talk a little bit about the process of the map creation?
Yes, absolutely. So this was fun. We had a combination of aerial photos and also kind of zoning plans. So we were able to pick and then of course Google Earth, we were able to pick the exact kind of orientation of how we wanted to show our campus. And the artist was very easy to work with, and kind of with those three tools, she was able to give us a final product that was not only, very informative about where, spatially where things are on the campus, but it was also incredibly beautiful. And we were mailed the artwork afterwards, which we are now in the process of framing and putting up in our admission space. So again, not only was it a functional product, but also incredibly beautiful, and one in which we're going to decorate our walls and our admission space with. So
that's awesome, right? Because it's a watercolor painting that we scan in and digitize. So it also works as your virtual map as well as a real physical map. So yeah, and there's one for every campus. And the viewers can check that out. And then the tour again is based on these 360 images, and we added in some video hotspots. These are directional hotspots, and then some photo galleries as well. And so what was it like, the photography process? Can you talk a little bit about working with, I believe Jared was a photographer and had 2 visits to the campus, or all 3 campuses actually, over 2 different trips.
Yeah. So the photography process was very easy, and we were working in the summer, so I guess, there are pros and cons to working in the summer. Obviously, the students are not on campus, so and it kind of depends which aesthetic you like. Some, some maps we see have no people and some have people. I kind of like the clean, no people, so you can really get an idea of the spaces. So it was very easy. Jared came for, I think, 2 full days, and we just mapped out all of the spaces that we wanted to feature on a spreadsheet, and then, just chipped away at it and walked around spaces and just set up light, made every space look tidy and set up lighting. And Jared was fun to work with, easy to work with. We had a blast, actually. It was kind of a fun couple days working together. And, anybody who was in the spaces, I'm looking at the theater right here, we had our performing arts director who was in and around the space and was super excited to show, that we were showing off the space and willing to get involved to help with achieving the perfect lighting. So it was also nice to see our community in each of their spaces as we came to visit, really get involved and want to spruce up their space and make it look as inviting as possible. Because it really is, this is an opportunity to invite the world into your space, a space that you're proud of. And so it was really fun to see people energized by that and wanting to be a part of the process and jump in and help and tidy up and make it look as presentable as possible. But Jared was wonderful to work with, and I was just blown away by I shopped around many different vendors and looking for a 360 tour, and really no vendor in terms of the quality of these 360 photos that the other vendors that I looked at didn't really compare. I mean, these photos, even on a, screen share where the resolution is a little bit grainier, they still look fantastic. So, when you go check out the real thing on the direct link, you'd be even more impressed.
Well, that's great to hear. I know Jared had a lot of fun with you guys and said that you guys are a very hardworking team. So it's always great to see it come together, especially when there's 3 campuses and so many moving parts with all of the different images. But yeah, we aim to make it as easy as possible on you guys with our photography prep checklist and just getting in there, really rolling up our sleeves and doing what it takes to get the space really as beautiful as possible. And
as
so
I was remembering when we were doing this shot, we had originally planned to do this shot from the center of the field, and Jared had, he was very good at visually kind of taking in spaces. And then he recommended that we actually do the shot from the bleacher, up in the bleachers, so we could get an idea of where this is situated as it relates to the school and the other fields. So he was also just great in terms of strategic, because typically working in school communications, you're not an expert on these 360 photo tours. And he was great at just providing some strategic insight into where the camera should be positioned to, for the flow of the tour experience. So that was amazing.
Sure. And sometimes we'll actually take one from both locations and then let you guys decide, because there's so many different angles, but you want to get the best possible vantage point for sure. This is a really beautiful space here, your pool area. So you guys, you mentioned inviting people to see the new campus. How else are you using your tour, and has it been useful? Have you had any good feedback on it?
Absolutely. So it's been, our prospective families obviously we're thrilled with this tool because it's given them, at any time of day from the comfort of their living room chair, they can literally feel like they're walking through our campuses, which is pretty amazing. But I also have to say that we have used this to re-engage with alumni. So we've sent this out in alumni newsletters, especially for this. So now you're on the Pottersville campus, especially for our new Pottersville campus, where our alums are very curious about, their alma mater acquiring a boarding school campus, and they want to see what it looks like. So it's also been a tool for development in the alumni office to re-engage with people in our community and pull them back in and say, hey, we'd love to show you. We would love to show you. Oh, you might want to check out like a pond view is a really nice one, that one on the right. But to be able to re-invite them back in and re-engage them and be able to show them our spaces from wherever they are in the world.
So pretty.
So this is a beautiful shot of the pond, and especially in contrast to our other 2 campuses. I mean, this just feels vastly different. So it's just wonderful to be able to show off a bit of it on our website.
Nice. And do you have any plans to add anything new to the tour or expand the tour over time?
Well, that's one thing that I loved when I learned about this is that, I didn't want it to be a, one and done and where, it's checking it out off the box, but it actually can be, built upon, and it can be a work in progress because like many schools, we are continuously renovating spaces, we're making changes. So I love that, there's the ability to invite Jared or whoever, a photographer, back to get new 360s of spaces as they change, or if we, in the current state right now, we just removed plexiglass to, get some shots without plexiglass of key spaces, and to maybe start to, especially maybe at the lower school level, I'm interested in adding in some, seeing some movement with some students in the shots. So I like that it's a dynamic tool that we can keep adding to and changing based on changes around campus.
Great. Well, you look like you have such a stunning campus, and it was so nice to work with you. Anything else you'd like to add about your experience?
Just overall, it was a very positive experience. I mean, it was a daunting project to think about doing. I immediately, when I started and I checked out our existing tour experience online, I was like, oh boy, we have to do something, and we have to do it quickly, especially as we went into last admission season without being able to invite families onto campus. So it was a daunting task to think about making this happen. But I'm so relieved that I found Circlescapes, because you all made it so easy and so painless and actually fun. I feel like Jared and another coworker was with us that day. I feel like we have like inside jokes from the 2 days where we were just attached at the hip doing this. And it was just such a fun and easy experience. And like I said before, it was an aggressive timeline that I had you all working up against, and you made it happen. And I truly can't speak more highly about my experience with you all.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for taking the time again. It was such a pleasure to work with you, and we look forward to visiting your campus again. Hopefully it'll be me that gets to come and see it this time.
Absolutely. We would love that.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We're so glad you joined us for this episode of Virtual Client Stories. When you're ready to showcase your campus and tell your story online too, give us a call and let us help you create an incredible virtual campus tour, quickly, painlessly, and affordably.